Okay, we're going to continue with Federalist number 4, part 3. Before I start reading, just wanted to share with you the meaning of the word that we're going to repeatedly hear, ambition. Ambition. This is the meaning I've got out of the Oxford English Dictionary. Since the chances are you're most likely you don't speak English as a first language, I've said that when you go through the Federalist Papers, sometimes you would need to refer to the Oxford English Dictionary. During the course of these videos, I'm hoping that I can help you do without it, because every once in a while I will, of course, tell you what the meaning of the words are, especially the meaning of the words as used 2 centuries ago. So this is what you would find in the Oxford English Dictionary. Ambition is the ardent or inordinate desire to rise to a high position or to attain rank, influence, distinction, or other preferment. Ardent or inordinate. Inordinate gives it a negative meaning, as was used back then. Right now we use the word ambition, ambitious, in a positive way. Back then it was definitely negative. It had the negative connotation of wanting power for power's sake, for one's glory. Someone that wanted power just for the sake of power, not to do anything for others necessarily. It was not for the good of the community. Right now we use it in a different way. It's got a more positive connotation to it. But back then, especially the way it is used in the Federalist, it's a negative thing. It's people that are just want everything for their own selves, money, power, name, or other preferments. Maybe it's a rank. Maybe they want to be influential. But it's all self-aggrandizement, not for the good of the community. By the way, this is the picture I used. This is the map I used with the writing on top when I translated the Federalist Papers to Farsi. So on top you'll see مقاله‌های Federalist, which is the Federalist Papers in Farsi. Okay, I'll start reading number 4 again. I'll continue with the paragraph that starts with the extension of our own commerce in our own vessels cannot give pleasure to any nations who possesses territories in or near this continent, because the cheapness and excellence of our production, added to the circumstance of vicinity, and the enterprise and address of our merchants and navigators, will give us a greater share in the advantages which those territories afford than consist with the wishes or policies of their respective sovereigns. So here again says our vessels. He's talking about our ships. Because when we start selling our products to the areas that are close to us, using our own ships, selling our merchandise, and being able to trade, it will not make those powers happy that they have been taking advantage of the situation, almost monopolized it because we were not in the market, because we could not compete with them, because we didn't have ships of our own. Should upset some of those powers. And why does he say it should upset some of them? Because, of course, they're going to lose money, the money they would use to defend themselves or to wage war, to start a war with others. So this will hit them in their pocket. It's going to financially hurt them. And again, if we are disunited, we will be an easy prey for them. They can toy around with us if we are disunited, whether it's 13 new countries or whether it's 3 or 4 confederacies. They'll divide and conquer. They'll introduce distrust and animosity and doubt amongst us, and before you know it, we're spending all the money we have fighting one another rather than getting strong and having access to other markets. So, okay, I'll continue now. Spain thinks it's convenient to shut the Mississippi against us on the one side, and Britain excludes us from the St. Lawrence on the other. Nor will either of them permit the other waters which are between them and us to become the means of mutual intercourse and traffic. Intercourse here means trade, transportation and trade, okay? And communication. It means all of those things. Okay, I've told you multiple times, I've mentioned that Mississippi River comes into picture. So he's saying Spain doesn't want us to have access to this mighty navigation route. We talked about this before. One of the things that the southern states definitely wanted, they wanted to have access to navigation right here. Because they heard at one time that John Jay, who was a New Yorker, and is actually writing this article, this paper, was trying to make a deal with Spain that if they open their ports for the New Englanders, they would be okay if Spain shuts down navigation to Americans for 25 years or so. And when the Southerners found out about it, they nearly went crazy. They said, no, you're a traitor, John Jay. Because, like I mentioned before, the climate here was such that this little blue area, which was open to settlement after the revolution, but were not states yet. They wanted people to come and settle here. And for people to settle here, to gradually create states here, and every state would get 2 senators, and that would keep the southern interest strong and defend the southern interest in the Congress of the United States, because the South had slavery. And most importantly, for people to move here, because moving stuff over land was so difficult, it's much easier if you can get your products to this river and send it down the river, or any river whatsoever, but get it here and just trade worldwide. So this was very important. So he says Spain doesn't want us to use Mississippi. And St. Lawrence is up here, it was Canada. They used it a lot, and that was another way for you to get your commerce out of the northern part of the country. From inland, I'm talking about. Of course, the best way is to send it across the Atlantic. But when you're inland, you look for the quickest way to get your product out, and the best way was through St. Lawrence and come out of Canada and then go to Atlantic. So he's mentioning that. He says, if we stay weak, Spain is not going to allow us to use the Mississippi. The British, who are in charge of what's not Canada, are not going to allow us to use St. Lawrence. So here's another reason for us to stay united and strong. While we're at it, let me tell you, if we fast forward 80, 90 years, during the American Civil War, one of the great strategic things that they did, the Northerners, the Union, because they were trying to split the South into two parts, and they strategically choked them where they couldn't get anything out. They blockaded them right here across the Atlantic over here. And another thing they did, the Union Army came and gradually took over the Mississippi. And this way you can just totally isolate them. This part anyways. So that's why every once in a while I say just make sure you know the names of the rivers, know where the locations are. A lot of times they mark the boundary between states. A lot of times decisions are made on where to settle because you want to be close to water so that you can ship your products up and down. So you'll see big cities get built around or close to the river routes. So just keep those in mind. We'll come back and continue with Federalist 4 in the next video.